For this type of ball quality, will you opt for a forehand drive or go for a high toss? For a ball with this kind of speed, will you choose a forehand drive or a high toss? For this type of ball, it will easily hit the net because the ball is too fast. The forehand topspin is not well executed. We should focus on generating friction. This is the high toss topspin, when the opponent's ball comes in high and slow. For this type of ball, we should confidently use the forehand topspin to address it. It's like wasting an opportunity to conclude the rally with a strong smash. So when do we choose to use topspin? And when do we choose to use a counterloop? If the quality of the opponent's incoming ball is determined, a high and slow ball with low quality should be counterlooped. Conversely, for a low and fast ball, choosing topspin is more reasonable. Coach Xiaohan will teach you how to practice topspin and counterloop. The first core element of a spin ball is rhythm. For example, in topspin, can we maintain this rhythm? What rhythm should we use? Lift a high arc ball and slow down the rhythm. Wait for the ball to drop from its highest point. Then we will brush the ball from the lower right to the upper left. After we serve, the initial descent is when the ball just starts to drop. The best hitting point is at the initial descent. So, where is the initial descent? For example, this point represents the peak. For instance, this point marks the start of the decline. This is when the ball reaches its highest bounce. This is the optimal hitting point for a topspin, not during the peak or the upward phase of a topspin. For example, typically our topspin should have this landing point and rhythm. So what adjustments do we need to make now? Clearly, there's a disruption in the rhythm. I will slightly lower the tempo and slow it down. We need to intentionally wait for this moment so we can generate more spin on the ball. And then we can better find the combination for the high throw topspin. The second point is the different preparations. The forehand topspin and high throw topspin. Which preparation should be lower? The trajectory of the forehand topspin is to hit first and then slide, while the high throw topspin has a trajectory from lower right to upper left. The first forward loop shot. The second high loop topspin. The first forward loop shot. The second high loop topspin. So you need to think about adding more spin. Your overall center of gravity should be more compressed. For example, I usually pull like this. Why do I say this? Due to the force generated from back to front along with the upward force. The contact point for a high topspin shot should be more upward. Therefore, when your center of gravity is lower, you should brush the ball at that point, and after lifting it, the spin of the ball will be stronger. So when you initiate your stroke, don't just pull back. You also need to pull more towards the lower right. For example, let's pull off to more straight shots. Everyone can see that Coach Xiaohan starts to serve from the lower right. Let's see another one. You must lower your center of gravity. If you can't lower it and want to add spin, you won't be able to generate spin. So our center of gravity must be fully lowered. Push down. This way my resulting force will be more effective. The racket angle for high toss topspin is different from that for forehand topspin. For high toss topspin, the racket angle for forehand topspin should be angled downward, moving forward more. High toss topspin should have slightly more brightness, with upward friction. The angles of the two racket faces are different. If you use the high toss topspin racket angle to execute a forehand topspin, this will happen. So when we execute a forehand topspin shot, the racket face can be slightly angled downwards. Our racket face must be positioned correctly. This is for the forehand topspin. This represents a high loop topspin. You can adjust the angle of your racket face. Can you stand a bit straighter? Don't apply too much pressure. But the racket face should not have too large a gap. Many players are like this. Pressing like this. Shiny like this. In fact, every adjustment in the racket face. It should be a subtle adjustment. For example, the counter loop, the topspin loop. The fourth point is the direction of force. For this type of ball, the counter loop is a forward spin shot. This type has a very low center of gravity, and the force generated from the lower right to the upper left is a topspin loop. The biggest difference between the counter loop and the topspin loop is the direction of force in the counter loop. Look at my stance. Try again. From the right rear position, apply a bit more force from the lower right to the front. The direction of your arm should be forward, collecting both forward and upward. You need to have forward momentum. When you pull forward, your arm motion must be quick. You want to pull it forward like this. It can't be explosive. You need to increase the friction during a quick retraction, balancing the impact and friction of the ball. If you add too much friction, the ball won't be fast. It can't be considered a forehand loop. So it is an explosive action generated after acceleration. This forms what is called a forehand topspin. Therefore, the force direction of the forehand topspin must be predominantly forward, whether it's the direction of my arm's force or the direction of my body's force. It's all directed forward. In the forward motion, we need to pay attention to the balance between friction and impact. Avoid excessive friction. The speed will slow down. We also need to pay attention to the issue of quick arm retraction. The ball's explosiveness will naturally occur. The forehand loop always requires a forward arm retraction. What about the high toss loop? The high toss loop involves a natural upward and rightward arm retraction. For every shot, you need to move quickly, so I can prepare for it. I move quickly over here, so I can wait for it. Can you see if you can also lift the balls up? We can use this method when practicing high topspin shots. Wait for the ball to drop a little before making your shot. This way, you can develop a good feel for the spin. Am I waiting low enough? It's not even in the early drop phase. It's basically in the late drop phase. It's not that early at all. So don't be afraid of this ball. When you want to add spin to the ball, just lower it a bit. Then, pay attention to my point of contact. My point of contact is 1, 2, 3. You see. It's important to note that when we execute a high topspin loop, we cannot simply rely on a flat stroke. The arc of the ball pulled over like this will be very high. A ball pulled over like this can also be smashed by others. Coming down, can we? Pull it higher. No, we can't pull it up any higher. Just don't let the arc be too high. After finishing the spin, this is how it's usually done. After we finish the pull, there is a forearm pressing motion. This ensures the spin of the friction ball, while also ensuring the curve. Don't intentionally pull the curve too high. If it's too high, it can easily be countered by others. So when executing the loop, you must control the curve.
Read more about table tennis on my blog, PingSunday.com. Get free ebook and coaching advices. See you in the next video.